there was a network show, and it was ahead of its time, and it didn't work particularly well then, but it would work so well on streaming now. It was called Murder One. Do you remember that?
I
Any
never
chance?
watched it, but I remember the title.
It was one murder trial for the whole season.
Was that David E. Kelly?
It wasn't.
Oh.
But it was fantastic.
Was that Bochco? That sounds so familiar.
It might have been Bochco, actually.
When was that?
95 to 97. Oh, it was Bochco.
Oh, Jason Gedrick was in it. Hell yeah.
And and Charles Egley, who did a lot of stuff.
That was a good show, and I think if somebody decided to do something like that now, I mean, Lincoln Lawyer's a little bit like that, but not really. Among
the main cast, Anthony LaPaglia, Stanley Tucci, Mary McCormick.
Dang.
Mike Post was the composer. He did like all the great shows.
Yeah.
Hard to believe the show only went 2 seasons.
And the second season sucked.
On that note, welcome to another episode of Podjiba, the Pajiba television podcast. I'm Pajiba comedy editor Dan Hamamura. With me, as always, are Pajiba managing editor Tori Preston.
Hello, Dan.
Hello, Tori. And I don't know what the hell this means. Is this like a Ginny and Georgia thing, Dustin?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was this, the song, Crimson and Clover. You know that song?
I mean,
I don't know that
I know it.
But
Somebody's over. Anyway, it was the last song I heard before the podcast because it was the final song on episode 20 of the first season of Veronica Mars, which I'm watching with the twins.
Oh, how are they enjoying it?
They love it, and I love it. Oh, yeah. It's really the first few episodes are a little shaky, and there's still some things that don't age great. Most of it is fine.
Yeah.
Some of it, like this particular episode, she had to frame a guy by frame him as gay in order to humiliate. And I'm like, oh, that's not great, but whatever. Most of it holds up well, but it's great.
Are you gonna?
It's a good show.
Are you gonna make them watch through the Hulu season, or are you gonna?
Oh yeah, I'm going to just so I can destroy them.
Oh,
because literally 7 episodes ago, they were like, "I hate Logan. He is the worst character," and I'm like, "Well, he's gonna get." And they're like, "If she gets with him, I'm gonna stop watching." And now they're like, "Oh, they have to be together. I love him so much." So I can't wait for that 4th season.
They're on the roller coaster.
All right.
They boarded. They're on it.
They gotta
take them all the way down.
That's how that show ended for good, I assume. That is fucked up.
For now.
It hasn't been back in a while.
I mean, it hadn't been back for a while, and then they brought it back. They could do it again.
Wait, was the movie before the season? It was, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
They did a movie, too.
They did the Kickstarter
the movie was
and then
totally just fan service.
Yeah, fan service. That's fine. The fans paid for it, Dustin.
Yeah, that's why it was on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about the movie, too.
That's why we also got the movie that the fans wanted, Wish You Were Here by Zach Braff.
Well, okay, nobody wanted that.
Well, people wanted it. People paid for it.
People paid for it.
We had to pay for the first season of Veronica Mars. It's 22 episodes for $10 on Amazon.
So it's not streaming on Hulu or whatever?
No. Hulu does the 4th season, but not the first season. I don't know about the 2nd season yet.
I would have assumed that they would have the library to pair
available.
You would think.
You know what? You paid for it, and next week, whatever window, they'll get it back. It's just all windowing.
Sure.
They have to pull it down for a couple weeks. It goes back up.
Let's see. Veronica Mars, season 1. I wanted to humiliate you by finding out that it was streaming somewhere.
Finding it on Tubi.
Yeah. Tubi's great.
I'm not watching commercials.
Dustin, commercials are back. Commercials are cool again. It's
I
going to
don't
fix
know.
everything. It's going to fix everything. You subscribe and you pay a subscription fee, but you also get commercials.
Yeah.
And then
Mm-hmm.
maybe
I
you
think
put
it's
them all into one company or one bundle of
Yeah.
package of
It's
channels.
never been done before.
Perhaps
that.
like a cable of channels put together.
That what I was saying this morning when I wrote about the Warner split
Yeah.
was that they should the new cable channels that are going off, they should combine with Versant, which is the NBC channels, and they could only exist if they do like a Tubi kind of thing. They might do well as a
All
Tubi,
together.
but like
Yeah.
right, but like I don't know what kind of libraries they have that are going to stay with them.
Right.
At this point, yeah,
Like
everything's been kind of sold off or, licensed
right,
out. And then and the reality is you are always going to make money by selling the content to other platforms than waiting for subscription fees for your own platform. That's how they got into this whole problem. All of these networks and, corporations thought they could compete with Netflix and everything. And so they made their own things. Like Hulu was at least smart. You had 3 or 4, however many companies originally, like going in
Right.
on it together.
Right.
So
mm-hmm.
it wasn't all like, on one company's back, but like, yeah, like, no, you make money by selling to Netflix, not by competing with Netflix.
Right,
And so
but
now,
like
and because they also then ticked off the reason. So the whole thing, what everyone forgets, the reason why HBO Max, before when it was HBO Go and HBO Now, like why HBO, like that app had so many different names was because when they launched, they needed to have one version of it that was subscriber based and
all
one
right,
version
yeah,
of it that was packaged if you subscribe to HBO through
Right.
your through your cable company, you automatically got access.
Right.
So it was your tethered and your untethered apps. And that's why they were 2. And then they put out Max that was like, okay, it's 1 and you can go either way. But it's like, that's how it all got confused because then these people made their apps trying not to piss off their cable carriers when it was obviously going to piss off their cable carriers because they don't want to have, if people can just subscribe to an app rather than cable, they'll cut the cord.
Right.
So anyway, it's all dumb.
So
Everything's dumb.
TBS is going over here, and they had a John C. McGinley sitcom like 5 years ago, 7 years ago. I don't know. Remember that show? I don't remember what it's called. John C. McGinley and the guy from
You're talking about the Bill Lawrence
Ground Floor.
co-created,
Ground
Ground Floor.
Floor. Yeah,
It was
great
like
show.
it was like 12 years ago, Dustin.
Okay, whatever. Really? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
It was Skylar Astin, Brigitte Heelan, Renee
Good
Goubet.
cast.
That's where they met and then fell in love. So
Oh,
they have kids now.
so like, who owns that show when this in the spinoff?
That show is owned by the studio, so that would be Warner Brothers.
Oh, so TBS can't even air that. They have
They
to
can
license it.
Yeah.
So TBS is completely fucking worthless.
TBS
They don't have
technically never
basketball.
owned it. They have
Do they have anything?
they have whatever new sports they're bringing in.
Okay, what,
I don't know
like
what
some
that is.
wrestling or
College
something? Okay,
No.
I don't know.
Wrestling is on Netflix, Dustin. Wrestling is big time.
I think it's on USA Network too, which is also
It
going
used to
to
be
the
on
spinoff.
USA Network. Now it's on Netflix.
Oh, only Netflix? It's not both? I don't know how it works.
Well, Raw went to Netflix, which was USA's product. SmackDown, which was on Fox before, went somewhere else.
Okay.
Or maybe it's also on
have you
Netflix.
ever watched? Do you know what you're talking about besides the titles? Have you watched these things?
Wrestling?
Raw or SmackDown? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, not in several. Probably it's been at least a decade, but yeah.
Oh, you were a wrestling guy.
Yeah, I mean, look,
At some point in your life.
I grew up in the '80s, so I watched Hulkamania and all that, and then in the '90s you got into the Attitude Era. That's where like The Rock came from,
No.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind with the sock puppet.
No, don't know.
There's a
that.
wrestler
No?
with a sock puppet.
Oh yeah, his name was Mankind. He wore a mask and a sock puppet. His finishing move was he would put on the sock puppet and like shove it down the other wrestler's throat and make them submit.
That's weird.
What
It
was the
weird.
name of the sock puppet?
I'm trying to remember.
I'm assuming because it had a character, right? It had to have a character.
Yeah, it was Mr. Something, and I'm so mad that I'm forgetting.
Was the sock puppet the heel? Were they both the heels?
No, they were actually mostly face. Weirdly, let's see. Wait,
did he ever put the sock puppet on his junk?
No,
he should have.
Mr. Sacco. That's right.
That's a terrible name.
Wow.
Mr. Sacco.
That's the best they could come up with was Sacco.
No, it's because he was kind of a silly character. But the things to know about Mick Foley were, one, I think he did a documentary about like mall Santas because he like loves Santa Claus, like, and he kind of looks like Santa, like, so you understand why, because he has a big beard. He's kind of like bigger.
Yeah.
The other thing about Mick Foley is that
Mick Foley is this character, this guy.
Mick Foley's the guy.
Okay, you kind of skipped over that.
The primary
talking
character,
about Mick Foley.
the primary character was, at least in that era, was Mankind. He had a couple different personas, but
it sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it was.
They were,
but like he was also known for just being willing to do whatever they asked of him. So he would take like the hardest fall. Like they did like, I don't know if you're aware of Hell in a Cell, which is like the ring is surrounded by a giant cage that encompasses the whole thing. And I think to win Hell in a Cell, you either pin or you escape. And he tried to escape, and I believe it's Undertaker caught him and slammed him down through the top of the cell, and he went through and then landed on the back in the wrestling ring. So it's like maybe like a 15-foot drop. So he was definitely like someone who was willing to take whatever punishment he needed to.
Most of what I know about wrestling came from that one Radiolab episode. Oh my god, it was so good.
Does it mostly come from Heels, the short-lived Stars show?
No, that wasn't real. This was like a real. Who was the Radiolab episode about? Rick, the double, the. Oh, come on,
Ric Flair.
Maybe Ric Flair. Did he have a big thing?
I don't know the episode.
Wrestling episode. It was about La Mancha Screwjob. Does that ring any bells for you?
It sounds familiar, but I don't actually know.
All right, it just blew me away. It was the Montreal Screwjob.
Oh, the Montreal Screwjob. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
That is familiar.
Yeah. Okay. It was fascinating. You should listen to it. Also, there was a guy named Dusty Rhodes when I was a kid, so I got a lot of shit.
So you were named after him.
Yeah.
No.
His son Cody became a champion in the past 10 years or so.
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. The other thing. So did I write this paper? I did not write this paper. But at one point in a class about television, I very nearly, it was my second choice for my topic, wrote a very long paper about the history of like the presentational style of professional wrestling and like where it can. Now I'm just being a nerd, but because here's the thing that's so amazing about like wrestling is insane, whatever, it's dumb, it's soap opera for guys, whatever, you can call it whatever you want, but it will never not be impressive to me that these guys will do a match for 20 minutes, which is, mostly scripted, but they do have to adjust as necessary. So they have to improvise within physically within the ring, and then have to perform a 5 to 10 minute monologue / conversation / whatever toward the audience, toward whoever comes in the ring or whoever they have to talk to for the storyline that week. And that's not fully scripted. So they have like an outline, but they have to improvise, and they have to roll with like, oh, if the crowd starts booing you or they start cheering you, then you have to roll with it and you have to go. And like the great ones are so good at it that it's kind of an insane, like it's insane to think about the amount of skill that's required to be able to do both well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And get hurt.
Because they get hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But Dustin doesn't care about any of that.
No. I always find like whenever like Andrew writes about it sometimes, and I'm always like, oh, this sounds really good. I should get into this. But
Mhm.
like, there's so
Where do
many
you start?
decades of backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like I don't even know how to watch it or where to watch it or
hmm
how to like.
It's like soap operas. Like, how do you jump
Yeah.
into a soap
Right.
opera?
That's fair.
There's no good entry point.
I
Yeah.
think that some of it is that like you can kind of jump into like even like the really good matches that like where I'm not even talking about like the best technical wrestling. I just mean like the matches that have like the most fun energy.
Yeah.
They can kind of be entertaining out of context, which is also kind of a fun way to get in. But
Also, I feel like if I'm going to jump into something, I want to be a soccer guy. But that is also like I feel like I'm too
They don't have
old
enough.
to
They don't have
like.
enough sock puppets in soccer.
That's true.
I've never been interested in wrestling until you told me about the sock puppet. Now I'm like, God damn.
Mankind was a very fun character.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Just because he was kind of a lunatic, like I think he was meant to be like maybe I forget if he's supposed to escape from an insane asylum. I don't know. Anyway, he's just like a weirdo, and then
Yeah.
he talks to Mr. Sacco, obviously,
Oh my God.
and then yeah, his finishing move is using Mr. Sacco.
Was he a ventriloquist? Like, would he throw his voice to the sock?
Oh, he wouldn't throw his voice. He would talk as
Just-
Mr. Sacco.
okay.
But yeah.
Because I think that would be awesome if you're like, it's not a lot of work as a ventriloquist, but I guess I can go into wrestling.
But I can get beat up, so I'll be a wrestler.
I can throw my voice and I can make it a part of my thing. And you just have like this like ventriloquist guy who I don't know. I don't understand whatever. Doesn't matter. Wrestling sounds fun.
My
Why
stepfather
are they
was deeply
fighting?
into it. And I did go see a match when I was a kid. It was the Rock and Roll Express. Do you remember those guys?
Vaguely.
No. They were like a duo.
They were a tag team, Dustin.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, tag
Yes.
team. Yeah.
I've been to live events. It's fun.
Oh yeah, that was actually pretty fun. I didn't like my stepdad very much, but that was fun. Sorry if you're listening, stepfather.
Sorry, Tori, what were you asking?
No, why do they fight? Like, 'cause
Why
there's
do
all
they
this.
fight?
Well, no, you talk about like there's all this backstory and characters and stuff like that. So, like, what within the storyline and the
Mhm.
plot lines, like,
Yeah.
is there a reason? Because so like Mortal Kombat,
Yeah.
like there's a tournament and they're
Right,
all
right,
in it or
right.
whatever. Like, what is is it just like they're there because it's wrestling and you have to turn up, or is it like is there a reason why these characters are fighting?
Well, I don't know. I don't know recent storylines, but fundamental. I mean, so on the most basic level, obviously there are championship belts. They're competing for these belts, so they have feuds with when they're pushing, you know, this particular matchup at WrestleMania. Then they're gonna spend months building up that feud between these two, and they don't like
Right.
each other because, at the end of the day, they are going for the championship, right? But
Okay,
but they don't
gotcha.
like each other because I don't know, one guy stole the other guy's friend, or sometimes it was like you steal their girlfriend. Sometimes it was they used to be in the same like kind of like they have like cliques or teams, not necessarily tag teams, but like kind of like super groups where they all kind of like work together and they're
Right.
affiliated and like they help each other cheat in matches and stuff like that. But then sometimes they used to be in the same group and then one of them turns on them. So like in the 90s there was a group that was really popular called DX or Degeneration X because they were like the bad boys. But among them were Triple H, who is now the CEO of WWE because he's married to Vince McMahon's daughter, and he kind of like took over as the creative head.
Wait, isn't Triple H a butt cream?
Preparation H is a butt cream.
That's it. Sorry.
Triple H is Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who I can't believe I remember this stuff.
That was the character name,
but he went by Triple H. His real name is Paul Levesque, I believe.
was gonna say, yeah, just like normal.
Yeah. But he was supposed to be like fancy guy. I don't know somehow, but then he became part of DX. But he was paired with Shawn Michaels, who was like a superstar from that era also. But then I forget who turns on who. They all turn on each other so many times. But it's always amazing because they're like in the ring together and they're like celebrating, and then one of them turns on them and then like beats them up because that's what the storyline requires. And then the next week it's like he comes in with a new crew and they're like all mad at each other. It's great.
This is the most animated Dan has been about anything.
The other part that is insane. So look, the McMahons are like unapologetically awful. They're this is television. We're talking about television right now.
On our agenda. I love this. I'm so happy right now.
Look, the McMahons are objectively awful people.
Right.
You know, we can agree on that. That's fine. But one thing that was fascinating about wrestling was that at a certain point, they decided that part of the show required the McMahons to be within the show. So that's Vince, who was the CEO,
right.
Linda, his wife, Shane, their son, and Stephanie, their daughter. And so all four of them did like maybe not Linda McMahon, but like everyone else did like some amount of wrestling, and like they were mostly there to be foils and to be like the bad guys who get beat up. But like, I don't know, there were times where Vince McMahon ripped off his shirt and you're like, oh, you're like weirdly jacked for a 65-year-old. Like, this is upsetting.
Yeah.
But you know, good for you, I guess. But
I mean,
and
like,
also there's also like a GIF that you've probably seen online of Vince McMahon like walking down the ramp and he's like kicking his legs out in a way that looks like he's destroying his knees somehow. But that was just kind of like the way he walked. That was like his like badass walk. I don't know.
Good for them. I mean, they should.
But it was nice to see them get beat up by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I mean, obviously they're terrible people, but like if I was a chairman or owned some sort of big thing, like I would want to. Like, you don't own a boat company and not go on a boat.
Yeah.
Like, you own a big wrestling thing, you should get to wrestle.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, or I blacked out, so I don't know what happened.
What are you drinking, Dan?
Yeah,
I am drinking Topo Chico hard seltzer because we had friends over this weekend, and
what kind of friends bring hard seltzer?
No, we bought
Not good friends.
We bought it as like one of the various things to offer.
And everyone chose everything else, so now you're stuck with the hard seltzer, or
pretty much.
Yeah.
So, but it's pretty.
I have some hard seltzer from like the beginning of the podcast still in the fridge because I wanted to try new things at the beginning of the podcast, and I tried that, and it was disgusting, and now it's still there.
I had a tropical mango first, and that one was fine. I am currently drinking strawberry guava, and it tastes like gasoline.
Oh. I mean, guava was a bold choice. You got to do the basics right before you jump to.
I don't know. It's just I just grabbed two random cans.
I don't mean you. I mean the company.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't make a guava drink if you can't nail it. Like, it shouldn't taste like gasoline. You tried hard seltzer, and it's been sitting in there for like 5 years.
Yeah.
6 years.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to drink it though.
You said that about the French toast beer.
I know, and I regretted it. So I'm definitely not.
We got it. You know, and it won't be that long before we have episode 300, and you got to do something to celebrate. No. I think drinking a half-decade-old
hard seltzer
sounds great. To really commemorate the occasion, you bought it for the beginning of the podcast. What are you drinking, Dustin?
I'm back to the old Greyhounds with seltzer.
Very nice.
But you know what? I think I'm gonna, because now I've gotten in the habit when I go out, because I don't drink beer anymore. I really do get Palomas every time now.
It's really good. They're delicious.
They're really good. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to buy tequila, but I'm just afraid of if I have that much tequila on hand.
Especially because you tend to.
I do. Enjoy things.
Yeah.
You have a frosted glass, Tori.
What I'm drinking. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Smitten Kitchen, like she's a cook, Deb Perlman. She does race recipe books. She has a blog, everything. She's like this. She has a podcast with Kenji. She's a food person. But I saw that she had she on Instagram, because I follow her and I love her food. And she had a thing about sometimes she posts cocktails that she makes. She posted one and it sounded great. And so I did it. It was a slushy paper plane. And the reason it was sold, I was sold on it, was because it's blenderless. You don't have to blend it. I love frozen drinks. I don't like using a blender. But the idea of and so she's like, no, this thing is great because you put it in the freezer and the alcohol to like water content is just the perfect balance where it freezes but not solid. So you put it in the freezer in like a jar for overnight and you pull it out and it's already a slushy. It won't freeze
That's
solid, but it's
perfect.
amazing. So it is the problem.
Brilliant.
Right. It's just so no. It's incredibly alcoholic.
Oh.
And I just pulled the jar out of the fridge and I'm just drinking it straight. So it's gonna be a really cool podcast, guys. We're doing great. I'm gonna help so much. But no, so the recipe is really easy. It's almost all alcohol. It's equal proportions, bourbon, Aperol, Amaro Nonino or something, and lemon juice. The only thing that is not alcohol is the lemon juice.
Lemon juice. Mm.
I mean, Aperol doesn't have as much alcohol as obviously like bourbon or whatever, but it's it's delicious. It's really good. I'm having a great night.
Sounds great.
You guys know what? You know, I know you know what Jaeger's is.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's made of?
Cabbage.
Is that what it was? I don't even remember anymore. I looked it up over the weekend because there was like, we went to Charlie's Kitchen in Boston, which was where we had our first date, and they had just like this. It's not a keg. It's like a machine that just does Jaeger.
What do you mean does? Like it makes it, or it just
No. It's like a
spits it out.
A dispenser.
Spits it out. Yeah, it's like a Jaeger dispenser. And for some reason, we looked it up, and I was appalled. It was German, and everything about it was disgusting. Although Jaeger is disgusting.
What is?
Contrary to a rumor that is circulated on the internet, Jägermeister does not contain deer or elk blood.
Wow.
Oh, we had heard that. And we actually looked that up too.
Composition.
It's a bunch of herbs.
It's a ton of herbs.
And gasoline? Is gasoline in there?
So
it should be.
56 herbs, fruits, roots, and spices, including citrus peel, licorice, anise, poppy seeds, saffron, ginger, juniper berries, and ginseng.
Okay, none of that sounds bad. I thought there was something disgusting in it.
I thought there was cabbage in it. I'm not seeing cabbage.
Huh.
Let me see.
I thought it was just like fermented junk sweat. It's the most disgusting stuff ever.
I don't know. Yeah, it's gross.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, we, for reasons, had to do a shot of Jaeger and a shot of Goldschlager. And you could do them in whatever order you wanted, but it was like you very quickly figured out that you started with the Jaeger and you ended with the Goldschlager. Because Goldschlager is disgusting. Yes. But at least like the cinnamon flavor kind of cuts through the Jaeger. You don't want to end on the Jaeger.
No, nobody went. Oh, I went out on Thursday after trivia, and my two friends got Jaeger shots. I'm like, come on.
Why? Why would you do that?
I know.
Everything, of all of the options.
I know.
As adults, why would you do that?
I have no idea.
Anyway, that's disgusting.
It is. Remember the concrete mixers? Oh, that was the worst. Do you know the concrete mixer? There was like two drinks that you drank them at the same time, and inside your mouth they turned into like
something gross.
Yeah, it was like sandy and disgusting, and then it turned solid, and you had to swallow it. Yeah,
I think I did that once, and was like, why? Why would you ever do that?
Yeah, I don't know, college.
Well, and there was also that. So in college, did you go through the phase where it was was it some rum 50? What was the thing where it was like it was the liquor that you'd put on top of something and light it on fire?
Oh yeah, 151.
151.
Oh
yeah.
So we just took whatever you were drinking and poured some of that on top and lit it on fire, which is a terrible idea when you're already drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for us,
the flaming armadillo, that was that on top of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Also, a terrible idea is to ever drink 151.
Yeah, you should never drink it.
Which
There's no, its
I
only
learned-
redeeming quality is
Yeah.
lighting it on fire. You
Yeah.
don't just drink it.
Yeah.
I'm
I
going to go
learned
get
that
another
lesson.
drink while you guys talk.
How did you learn that lesson?
Oh, I learned that lesson by drinking it and then feeling quite poorly for quite some time.
Yeah. Did you do anything embarrassing? Were you the kind of person who just like drank what you shouldn't have drunk and just like woke up sick the next day, or would you have like the stories of the night?
No, I don't recall any I never had any experiences where like I've never blacked out.
Right.
And I've never, as far as I remember, but I don't think I've ever blacked out. But I will get sick very fast. Like I'll get sick that night.
Oh.
So I'm just like, it's not even like I go to sleep and wake up in the middle of the night. And yeah, I'm just like, before the night's over, I'm
you're leaving the party early.
Yeah. I'm leaving the party early. So
I mean, it's better that way than continuing and having to pay for all of it later.
Yeah, I think so.
You kind of just have an early detection system.
Yeah, it's great. My body just says, "No, that's enough. You had too much. We're gonna deal with that now."
151 down.
But now that Dustin is back, I wanted to say, speaking of college, I watched about half of the season of Overcompensating.
Did you watch half in one sitting because it was so good and you couldn't stop?
That's fine.
Come on. You watch Adults, didn't you?
I've only seen the first 2 episodes of Adults.
Oh, well, you watched 5 of Overcompensating, so you must like it more.
I had some free time and was not required to wait for anyone for Overcompensating. So,
I see.
I think here I'll say it is a good show. So Overcompensating, Dustin's already talked about it a little bit. He's written about it. It is on Amazon, 8-episode comedy, created by Benito Skinner, starring Benito Skinner and Wally Barham and forgetting the woman who plays his sister. But anyway, it's following Benito Skinner's character primarily, and Wally Barham's character is kind of like the female lead, but it's following characters in college. They're all dealing with stuff. His primary thing is that he is in the closet, despite being like jock football guy, popular guy from high school. And it follows them through freshman year. And there are other characters who are like his sister, who's older, her boyfriend, who's a senior, and they're dealing with kind of like the later in college life angst. And he and Wally Barham are dealing with like being freshmen and being out in the world for the first time, and you're trying to define who you are and all that stuff. It is a good show. I think the thing that struck me was that it doesn't feel as cohesive to me as
adults.
I guess as adults. I'm not trying to compare the two, but It doesn't feel like there are parts of the show that feel very earnest and like heartfelt, and those parts are great. And there are parts of the show that feel very goofy and silly, and those parts are great. And there are parts of the show that feel very like we're trying to push the envelope, not push the envelope, but like we're trying to see how far we can go with sex or with gross out humor. And those parts are like, all of it is enjoyable, but as one singular package, it feels like at times it feels kind of like different shows to me.
I can see that. I felt that the first couple episodes for sure.
And the other thing that I felt, which makes sense because it's based on Benito Skinner's own life and his own experience of coming out in college, but this show weirdly feels like it's about college 10 years ago, and which is about when he was in college. Yeah. So like the jokes, the references, the way that they view college feels like what at least my understanding of college was like about 10 years ago versus what college is like now, which is not a problem. It's fine. It's just it does almost feel weirdly like a period piece when it's not.
So he didn't set it. It's set now.
It's set now.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it's set about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And everyone is 30.
Yeah, everyone's 30 and like has like their adult attractiveness. Which I mean that's fine. That's how college shows work. So
yeah.
But that being said, I did enjoy it. I would like to finish it. I think I have 3 episodes left. I got to the point where I guess it's a spoiler, but he just came out to Carmen.
Oh, that's where it starts to get really like sweet. I don't know. There was some moments where it got really sweet.
Yeah.
And you know how I am with Bill Lawrence and comedy and pathos. It really gets to me.
Yeah. But it's good. It's
and Adults doesn't really have any of that sweetness.
Yeah, Adults is Always Sunny in vibe.
Yeah. Yes.
It's very anarchistic.
Yes.
Anarchistic? I don't know. Anyway.
I have a feeling I would like Adults more.
I think I laugh like it a lot.
Adults. I'll say that.
Sure, but I just don't. I didn't like the characters as much because they're obnoxious. But then again, Always Sunny characters are obnoxious.
Yeah, there are not like obnoxious people deserve representation.
I know, but I think it's the
representation
kids
matters
these
Dustin.
days and their
Dustin
mustaches.
Just wants to cry.
I kind of do, yeah.
Yeah. And of the two, Overcompensating is the one more likely to cause that.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, there was something else that struck me about it. Again, not trying to compare it with Adults, even though maybe it's inevitable. But Overcompensating, people were making bad choices, and I felt like, why are you making these bad choices? Like, I felt like you know better, even though I understand emotionally why you're making this choice. Versus Adults, they were making bad choices, and it felt like, no, this is who you are. You're going to make this bad choice, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But
there are not a lot of Gen Z shows yet, so it's kind of interesting to see them start to come out and see what they're like.
Do you consider Overcompensating, given the cast, given the age of the main people, do you consider Overcompensating a Gen Z show? Because it feels like a millennial show to me. And I mean, they're not Gen Z.
Okay. Well, it's still... it probably feels more millennial. But like English teacher, I thought that was sort of Gen Z, but those are probably closer to millennial too.
They're millennial.
Yeah.
The kids in the show are Gen... So it does reflect Gen Z culture or lampoon it.
People who came up on like YouTube and TikTok, that sort of that creative spirit.
Okay. You're saying that the people who have created for Gen Z, even if they are not themselves Gen Z.
Yes.
Okay. Like the Paul brothers.
Okay, no.
hey, they're popular.
I just like how, at least as depicted in these shows, how self-aware Gen Z is about their generation. And how, like, they're responsible for what, in some ways, for what's going on in the world. Just like the backlash against a lot, but they sort of like own it and are funny about it. If that makes any sense.
So, like, they know that they're too sensitive and they accept or something? What do you mean about what's going on in the world?
Well, okay, so I can't, as a Gen Xer, make fun of people's pronouns, but they can.
Because they fully endorse the use of pronouns.
Exactly.
Right.
So they're self-aware and very funny about it.
Right.
English teacher did that very well too.
And yet that doesn't stop you, Dustin, from making jokes about Asian people.
Okay. That is not true. God damn it.
It's on the podcast, Dustin, so I think it's true. As far as anyone knows. I just make
fun of you, and you happen to be Asian.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Spoiler alert, everyone.
Anyway,
I don't know. I can see what you're saying.
Wait, Tori, have you seen either Overcompensating or Adults? Okay, but of the
Tori
two,
doesn't like
now that you've
comedy.
heard both of them, which
Now it
one
sounds like I'm more interested in Adults.
Okay.
Because I am more interested in the just generally people behaving badly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But can
Than
you
emotional.
watch people who look like Paul Mescal for like that long of a period?
Well, yeah, because they're behaving badly, so I'm allowed to hate them.
Oh, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
Like, is this
You are
great?
allowed to
Because
hate
I
them.
will start off already hating them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I had to look at them all the time anyway. Like,
Yeah.
that's the
Also-
thing. This is like, that's not Gen
Yeah.
Z. Like, that's like,
Right.
they always looked like that, and I would be on
Right.
the subway with them.
Yeah. Adults
And-
also would be more, I mean, like, I guess both in some ways, but like Adults is so very New York City in your 20s that
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure
It
if
also
nothing
has a-
else, you'll be like,
Like,
that's
"Aw."
real, that's not.
Yeah.
Oh, my 20s.
Yeah. Like, these
There's
are
a
all of my friends
long-
combined.
There's a long arc with Charlie Cox that I think you would love.
Oh, yeah. I heard he does ketamine.
He does, yes.
Yeah.
It gets real stupid, and it's fun to see Charlie Cox in a
Stupid.
he should do more comedy.
Oh.
I feel like
He should
everyone
do more of everything.
comedy.
Yeah.
That's
True.
true. There should be more comedies for people to do.
But there's at least one more comedy, Dustin.
What?
It's Stick on Apple TV Plus,
Oh.
which is a TV show and not a movie. I don't know if you guys were aware of that.
I discovered that when the second episode started playing, and I'm like, what? There's more? No, it was, no, I knew it because Dustin wrote about it, and I was like, I guess I should watch something for the podcast. So I chose Stick on Apple TV Plus.
All right.
It is a golf show with Owen
I haven't
Wilson.
seen it, so I know nothing other than that much.
Don't let that dissuade you. Although
No,
golf shows.
I like golf.
Yeah, well, I don't like golf, but I like golf shows.
Yeah. It is a very good. Yeah, like I can't watch golf. I don't even enjoy playing golf. I enjoy driving ranges where you just hit the balls and somebody else has to get them and you don't have to sit there and you don't have to, there's no trying to get it in a hole. It's like my problem with golf is that I always think of the George Carlin bit.
Same, yeah.
Right? You hit the
just
ball
hit it.
and like,
Yeah.
and then you walk and get it. Like, no, like you're
Yes.
lucky you found it. Put it in your pocket and take it home.
The George Carlin bit always reminds me of Lord of the Rings. They're just walking and walking and walking and walking.
George Carlin bit is so classic. Like that is truly timeless comedy because that ruined almost every sport for me. It just everything he taught you is like I can't look at badminton is tennis with a table. Like everything is everything else. Like sailing isn't a sport, it's transportation. Like it's
Why aren't there landmines in the outfield in baseball games?
It's brilliant. Anyway, yeah, I do think that golf is particularly well suited for like television or movies or whatever because it is such a like everything you think of about talent and sportsmanship is boiled down to such a simple formula that is at the same time unattainable for most people. You know, it is the mental game. The physical game is you perform one move. You're not running and hitting. You're not kicking and jumping. It's one thing. You swing and the swing either gets the ball where it needs to go or it gets the ball where it doesn't need to go. And then you do it again. And so it's so funny because it does. But when you're applying a sports entertainment kind of formula to that, where you have a mentor and you've got, whatever problems and, is this person going to succeed in the tournament of hitting, swinging a stick at a ball?
It's such a mental game that you have to figure it out mentally.
Yeah. The drama is actually wonderful. So it's true. It is, you don't have to deal with, there's no teams, there's no team dynamics. You really can have a beautiful character study. And so, yeah, I'm like, Owen Wilson is doing Owen Wilson's thing. I don't think this is a stretch for him as an actor, but but it's just nice to spend time with him. I think like what he does is great. The character, like he's the mentor, the mentee, character Santi Yeah, I got to the end of the second episode and I was kind of like, I would like to spend more time with him and his mom. I
Yeah.
kind of want to know what's going on with them. I'm like mildly curious. I do like there was a slight Happy Gilmore-esque, or at least it wasn't that it was Happy Gilmore. It was more that like I was impressed that the show, because it really had to step out of the shadow of like, there is one very famous thing that has been done of someone who is seemingly ill-suited for golf, who happens to be incredibly talented. And that was Happy Gilmore.
Mhm.
And so to do this, it's like they kind of have this kid who's like he's not a hockey player. He's just a kid who's very talented at golf, but he shows up with the baggy, almost Jenkos or whatever, like the baggy jeans and the like his shop, he works at a grocery store, so he's wearing that apron over everything and he's just hitting balls. And it was, and he's a powerhouse, but has no mental game to speak of. And it is playing, like, it is a comedy, but it's more drama. It's not Happy Gilmore.
It's
not
a
funny.
shrinking
Yeah.
comedy.
Mark Maron is great in it, but Mark Maron
God.
again. Everyone is doing
He's Mark
Right.
Maron. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark
But
Maron
he's so
is doing Mark
good
Maron.
at playing
Owen
Mark
Wilson.
Maron.
Yeah, they're all doing what the people are doing exactly what you know, and the people you don't know are playing characters that you at least are interested in. And it's gonna, from what I can tell, it's gonna be a road trip movie where they're all in a Winnebago together, and you're kind of like,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, and that third episode, they pick up the love interest. It
Right.
was like the gothic girl. So she's great too.
So a love interest gets in the Winnebago with Owen Wilson, Mark Maron, a kid, and his mom.
I think, well.
So they're all in a bus together?
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. Like, what are you going to do?
Well, I don't know that she's going to
like
along,
make out,
but I assume she's a cast member, and she's introduced in the third episode, and she's good for his mental game.
Oh, so she'll have to go along.
I would think so.
Imagine
Owen
picking
Wilson,
up a chick to ride in a bus with your mom and your like golf pro teacher.
Well, I think that Mark Maron and the mom might end up being a thing too.
They ought to.
Yeah.
Oh, and the show also. The show has like the Judy Greer playing a wonderful, underused kind of character. Like it's got everything.
Judy Greer playing Judy Greer.
Judy Greer, but the peak Judy Greer
every
part where it's like,
yeah, right.
She's wonderful. She's in like 1.5 episodes, and God knows when you're going to see her again. Yeah, like she should be the star, but
poor Judy Greer. And it was written by the guy who did Ford versus Ferrari, which is also a very good sports movie.
Yeah, because it's a person driving a car.
Right, which is
it's not a sport; it's a mode of transportation.
Yes. Dan seems lost.
No, I was just trying to figure out.
I feel like this is your kind of show.
It does sound like my kind of show. I like sports movies, and
you like Shrinking.
I like Shrinking.
I don't think the Shrinking comparison is
I have
fair.
never seen Ford versus Ferrari.
Do you just say, do you like Bill Lawrence? Do you associate everything with Bill Lawrence to back people into a corner of liking it, even though Bill Lawrence has nothing to do with the show?
He doesn't, but it's a very Bill Lawrence vibe.
Is it?
It's a good... Well, I think in the third episode, once they get in the Winnebago, and it then becomes more of a hangout show with a sports element.
Because I don't feel like... the jokes aren't there. The level of jokes have not been at Bill Lawrence level.
That is true.
You also said that Overcompensating, you compared it to a Bill Lawrence vibe, and I disagree.
I just think in the comedy pathos thing.
Yeah.
He's the guy that sort of like perfected that.
Yeah.
I think you just like throwing his name out there to trick people into watching shows that you like.
I think Dustin just hopes that if he says his name enough, he'll appear.
That's true. Like a genie or like Beetlejuice or Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
How many
I mean,
times does
that's-
Bill Lawrence need to be mentioned on a podcast before he shows up on the podcast? I don't think that's how that works. Although, who knows? Maybe he Googles himself.
Top Chef.
Okay, wait. So Top Chef, I just
The
want to make sure I'm
Olympic
caught
thing.
up. We're down to the finale, right? Like this week will be the finale.
Right. And they
Okay,
had like
okay.
the Olympics thing
Yep,
last
yep.
week.
Okay.
Which ended up having a weird tournament style. I think look, I wanted that outcome from the beginning. I would have been disappointed in any other outcome, and it just happened to work out that way.
I think that for better or worse, the outcome, the structure of that tournament forces it makes it harder for the outlier to win, I think.
Well, it was interesting because they had like voting for the first two rounds, and then the third round it was judges.
Yeah.
As though they were like, oh, we need to make sure the right person goes.
Well, maybe. But for those of you who are not watching, so this was kind of like the semi-final, I guess is what they call it, but it was 4 chefs in Italy. It was Shuai, Bailey, Tristan, and Cesar.
Mm-hmm.
And Cesar has kind of been, of the 4, Cesar has kind of been the most like unpredictable in terms of result. Like there are weeks where he's really good, and there are weeks where he does not perform well, which seems to line up with the way that he cooks, which is he kind of seems to be like, I don't know, I thought maybe this would work, and either it does or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But so we end up, Cesar gets eliminated. We end up with Shuai, Tristan, and Bailey, who are especially like Bailey struggled early, but when she came back from Last Chance Kitchen has really kind of like found her footing. And Tristan's probably been the most consistent overall. And then Shuai has really been kind of like finding his voice in kind of the second half of the season.
Right.
So you kind of have the person who's arguably the best chef has made it through, the person who's kind of like peaking at the right time, and then the person who has battled through the most adversity, but then like found her way.
Right.
Right.
The
yeah,
comeback
it feels like they kind of got to the right final. They're also very different chefs, so at least they won't be doing the exact same thing. It's also interesting that I don't feel like we have a like real like Buddha fine dining robot type this season. Like if anyone, that felt like that would have been either Christian or Vinny, but Vinny couldn't really pull it off. And then I don't know if I'm saying her name right, I'm sorry, but Christian,
I think so, yeah.
But that she kind of just got eliminated on a bad week and then just couldn't get back in.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because that like fine dining French technique chef so often is like does well in these competitions. It's interesting to see that like these 3, they have very different perspectives, they have very different techniques, they cook different food. I don't know, it's an interesting finale. I'm actually more intrigued about this one than maybe outside of like, this might be the most interesting one to me since at least World All Stars, which I know is only a couple seasons ago. But
what do you think about the fact that Kristen cries all the time? Is that good or bad for you? I love it because, again, I like to get emotional even.
Are you the kind of person who cries if somebody else cries?
Well, she has a certain way of crying that really makes you feel emotional. And you're like, when you picture Padma doing that, you're just like, no, because she's very matter of fact.
Yeah, I like it, but I think it makes sense because obviously she's been in competition, so she understands it. I don't think it's too much. I think that
no, I don't.
I will say that I think that it could run the risk of becoming not too much, but like becoming a thing where it's kind of like
Right. Well,
there's
she
always
saved it.
someone every
Yeah,
season that she cries over.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's not a bad thing.
I enjoy it. And she didn't really lay it on thick till
No. I don't.
Massimo.
I think it's genuine, but
Yeah,
it was weird that it was over Massimo. No, I'm kidding.
I know. I feel
No, I like
like
Massimo.
everybody hated that
I
guy,
didn't hate him.
but I know it seemed fine to me. But I didn't have to live with him.
Yeah, it does feel like he probably would be a lot to spend
Yeah,
that much time with. I don't know. Dustin, do you have a winner pick?
I think it's gonna be Tristan, but I wouldn't mind seeing Schwei win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like them both. I think Bailey's the also ran, but I like her a lot too.
I like all three of them. Not that Top Chef hasn't like. It's weird because Top Chef doesn't have a. You can't really study the edit the way that you can like Survivor.
Yeah.
Because someone could be great and then just screw up on the last day.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it does feel like Tristan is like, I don't know, just the things they've included about his story feels like
His dad died
Yeah.
like I don't know, 5 weeks into production, and
Something
he
like
didn't
that.
go home. He stayed on the show, and then in between the like whatever, they were in Canada, and then they took 2 weeks off
before
the
they went to
finale,
Italy.
and he went home to like bury his father. I mean, how do you not give it to that guy?
Well, if he doesn't cook his good food.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, if it's like, I don't know, I always feel like you can't reward someone for their dad dying. 'Cause it's like,
Yeah.
oh well, I guess
Right,
it was
I
all
know.
worth it.
Yeah.
No,
But he is
no.
also
terrible.
legitimately
Yeah,
I think
very good, yeah.
he's arguably the best chef that they've had this season.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, that's this week, so we'll know soon enough. We are about to run out of time. The duck is about to quack, but
Tori, do you have anything you would like to talk about?
Yeah, just So real quick, speaking of reality shows, so my reality show that I'm watching at this moment is Clarkson's Farm Series 4, which I know I have talked about this. Jeremy Clarkson on a farm. People have a lot of feelings about Clarkson.
Not racing a car.
Not race. Well, no, although it is funny because he keeps insisting on buying Lamborghini tractors. Lamborghini makes shit tractors.
Oh.
There's a reason why, weirdly, the Lamborghini tractors are always cheaper. And he's like, I'm saving money. And it's like, because it's shit tractor. You should buy a John Deere, right? Whatever, right? So he's not entirely without his Top Gear roots. But it's as the show's continued, it is very much a different side of him. That's not really what I'm interested in, though. The show continues to be entertaining. I think it's very good. He's kind of in his retirement era where he like genuinely gets emotional about like pigs giving birth or dying, or he plants wildflowers for birds, and like he's doing things for the environment and actually plowing fields, and it's like it's a little weird from the Top Gear guy. It's also interesting that the show just launched its 4th season, because back in like January of 2023, Amazon said they were parting ways with Jeremy Clarkson when he wrote a column where he said some not great things about Meghan Markle. That blew up in his face. And
he has apologized, right? I think he did.
Well, he did apologize. And it's also one of those things where like what he said was completely unacceptable, except that it was also clearly a Game of Thrones reference, because he was talking about how she deserves to be like paraded through the streets naked and beaten or something. Not great to say about the
No.
Right. Also, but I think there was a reference to the shame bell, and he was like, I was referencing Game of Thrones. I realized that was a horrible thing to say. Like, so the apology, like, however genuine, like he is an oaf who puts his foot in his mouth. How many times do you give him you know, whatever. I'm Jeremy Clarkson, and this is the struggle for people who enjoy his programs without wanting to condone him as a person. Like I think he's an idiot. I think he's an oaf who screws up plenty and deserves to be held accountable. But also, when you enjoy him, it's kind of hard to be like, I want you to be held accountable, but I want you to also continue producing content, right? Like, it's like, how do you actually like? So it's Clarkson's entire career has been that, where it's like he should have been pulled off the, BBC fired him for something, and then Amazon hires him, and then like it just keeps going. So Amazon very publicly was like, we're parting ways with him. Of course, we're gonna air everything that we've already commissioned, but we're not going to do anything more with him. And that was 2 years ago. So fine. Clarkson's Farm 3 or whatever that came out last year, that was commissioned. I was like, okay, that makes sense. The end of Grand Tour, which was the Amazon Prime version of Top Gear that was not Top Gear but had all the Top Gear guys, that came to an end. So I was like, okay, done. Like they're winding up, they're running through what they already paid for, but they're not going to keep paying Jeremy Clarkson. They said so. And then Clarkson's Farm 4 came out. I'm not clear on when this was commissioned. It was definitely shot last year. So it was shot in 2024. They made the announcement at the beginning of 2023. So you could argue maybe they had commissioned the 4th season already, whatever. You're starting to stretch it. It sounds like he's also coming back for a season 5. So I'm pretty sure whatever Amazon said has more or less been swept under the rug at this point. I don't think that.
Well, technically, this show was commissioned before then.
Well, the
yeah,
show was commissioned.
Run it until people stop watching it.
I think it's the thing where they don't announce that they've renewed it, because that would mean, we have decided to stay in business with Clarkson, and they can't really do that. New seasons of the show keep popping up way after they said they were going to stop working with him. So, because they don't, it seems like because of the nature of the reality show, it's kind of like he will shoot a season, but there's no guarantee that he'll do another one. Because it's kind of based on it's a tough shooting schedule. It's a long shooting schedule because they're going through actual farming. It's like, okay, we're going to start in winter, we're going to go through summer or whatever. We're going to talk about and the show does a lot of work on he starts businesses, he's starting a pub. He tried to start a restaurant. He does things to try and help find outlets for other farmers in his area. And a lot of the show is just about how hard it is to be a farmer, especially given kind of British rules and regulations and global warming and everything else. It's really weird to see the guy who is always more power, electric vehicles are terrible, rah, 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 actually talking about climate and worrying about the little man. So again, it's that thing of he's not a great person. He's doing some actually good things right now. And so it's I find the show fascinating as someone who has followed his career, to see the kind of progression of is this what it's like getting older when you're Jeremy Clarkson, and being the overgrown man child no longer works, and you've actually settled into a retirement that seems more meaningful to you in ways that I didn't think you were capable of. And how much of it is just you creating content and how much of it is genuine. Because I don't know. Also, on the Game of Thrones thing, Meghan Markle thing was really dumb. Don't write that in a column. That was stupid. So stupid. He does have dogs on the show who are named Sansa and Arya. So it's this thing of he's also very clearly a Game of Thrones fan. But anyway, so the show is out there. If you are a Clarkson fan, you can watch it. If you're not, I don't know why you would watch it, but it has other good characters, and I find it to be a very interesting show. I am also just really interested in Amazon kind of continuing to
ignore it and keep doing it.
Just keep doing it despite their big proclamation in 2023. To be fair, Grand Tour did definitively come to an end. So they had their final special, and it was for people who were Top Gear fans, it was great. They essentially ended up where they started on their first big trip in the original BBC Top Gear. So it's like these guys, they literally, as they're traveling through this country, like come across the cars in this like kind of car graveyard. Somebody just had a bunch of like junk cars, and it was the cars that they drove like 15 years before in the first series of Top Gear. And they're like, that was our car. We drove across the desert in that. And they recreate it's like really, it was a wonderful end of thing for people who like Top Gear, which I do. Again, man,
what, Tori?
It's so hard to like. People suck.
Van Morrison's a terrible person, but I will still listen to Tupelo Honey whenever it's on.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I watched a lot of wrestling, despite the people who own it. So
yeah, we're all just. This is the problematic episode of Pod Jiba. We came in thinking we had nothing to talk about, and we're all just revealing that we're.
There's no ethical conception under capitalism. It's fine.
Nope.
Yeah.
And on that note,
yeah, that's the show. Episode 259, I believe.
Wow,
which is pretty good.
So 41 episodes, and Dustin's going to drink some hard seltzer.
Yeah, that'll probably be. I mean, it's going to be a while. We take breaks sometimes.
2026.
So it'll be maybe late 2026. But
we should start watching
Mr. Show
soon.
Oh yeah, we got to start thinking about Mr. Show, especially since it's kind of a light month.
Yeah,
probably.
do we want to? I can come up with our viewing schedule this week if you want. How many weeks do we want to spend on Mr. Show? Are you trying to?
How many episodes are there?
There's 3 seasons. I think it's only usually like 6 to 10 episodes a season. It's not many. The first season is 4 episodes.
Was it only 3 seasons?
No, I think maybe 4 seasons.
I thought it was like 4 or 5.
No, it's definitely not 5.
You guys don't have to worry. I watch a lot of TV. I can
We're
binge
not
a show
watching,
like nothing.
We're not
4
watching.
seasons, 30 episodes.
30 episodes total. The first season was only 4 episodes. No, I think. Whatever.
Anyway.
So 30 episodes. We will not binge all of them. Do you want to do it across? Should we say do you want 10 episodes total? We do 5 episodes each week, or do you want 8 episodes? 4? How many are you comfortable watching?
5 a week is good. Yeah.
You think? Yeah. Because you'll watch it fast. They're short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll watch a third of Mr. Show.
Mm-hmm. And then Dustin's going to end up watching all of it anyway.
Because he'll be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Probably.
It is a fascinating time capsule.
My favorite cast member is Jay Johnston. Whatever happened to that guy?
Okay.
Wow. No, I am really excited for him to see The Story of Everest, which is one of the greatest sketches ever done. And just be like, that guy was at January 6th.
Mm-hmm. Full pardon, so you know.
Yeah. But man, all I wanted when I found out he got arrested for it, I was like, I hope he shows up at trial and just does just falls over the whole time. It would be the best bit, even for a horrible person. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the show. We'll be back next week, probably with some Mr. Show.
Yeah.
We'll see. But have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Teddy Dunn quit acting in 2009.